Hey guys and gals, Malku 1974 back at you with another Apollo series. This is our takeoff from Duna where we left last time, getting our astronauts, our Kerbalnauts off of Duna, back to Kerbin, making sure everything's working fine. We have everybody getting up there into space. We do have a few issues that we have to work out. Of course, one of the major issues, which I thought might be an issue, is fuel. So before we take off to Kerbin and get back en route to Kerbin, we're gonna have to take a little detour to our space station that is orbiting Duna. It's up there. It's on an equatorial orbit of Duna. So, but first, we do have to get back to our interplanetary vessel. I guess that's what you can call it. So this is what we're just trying to do right now. Get our guy up there, get things all set up, and have at it at that point. Getting a actual, intercept right on the bat here, it seems. So let's just kind of jump over to where we are docking with our vessel. And here we go with Ike in the background. There's the vessel. There's the interplanetary vessel. There's the space police going by. Yeah, always gotta be a space policeman going by when I'm doing a video. It's like they time it or something. That and the dog barking. I should make the dog bark right now. She's actually under the desk, trying to keep cool from the hot day we had today. There we go. There's our beautiful interplanetary vessel, kinda in the darkness. Our landing lights lighting it up. And we'll get a docking on here. What I want to do is I want to transfer as much fuel from this lander to the interplanetary vessel as much as possible. And plus, when we dock at the space station, we will get some more fuel from there. Of course, with the Duna missions, we still have to bring the secondary crew from Kerbin to Duna, the second mission for another crew rotation. And we can talk about that while we're doing this docking procedure. It's going to be a little bit different. We're going to leave the lander here, and we're going to actually just bring extra fuel with us the next time to refuel that lander back up before we can land it again. Just moving the Kerbals in and all of our fuel that we need. And of course, the science that we gather, we're going to have to move that here in a second too. Get a Kerbal to come out and to do that for us at some point. There we go. Let's move it. So, cutting a little bit fast forward to keep the video moving, this is the actual space station that we have in orbit of Duna. And this is our interplanetary vessel that is about to dock with that said space station. And, well, we'll just bring on some fuel when we get there, and we'll go from there. We'll actually, hopefully, get on going to Duna, and, back to Kerbin and land these guys, and we'll get the second mission going, and hopefully get this series wrapped up. A little bit delicate of a docking operation, because if it looks like the interplanetary vessel is bigger than the actual space station, you would be correct. The space station is nothing more than a crew cab with a fuel tank on it and an engine and some solar panel arrays on there. So there we go. We're nice and hooked up, and we're going to start transferring the fuel that we need into our interplanetary vessel. Of course, those are nuclear engines, and they only run off of fuel. We don't need as much oxidizer, but there are regular engines on that part of the vessel, and it could separate from the interplanetary vessel and get there if we needed to. So here we go. Now we're jumping back into Kerbin, where we finally got our guys there. Sorry we're jumping around so much, just trying to put a whole hell of a lot of video into one nice tiny update video to where we are in this version of Kerbal Space Program. I'm pretty much considering that this could be the last episode of the Apollo series. I do want to actually move on to and if you believe it or not, in that part we actually did kind of lose the interplanetary stage. I still kind of ran out of fuel. Actually, what happened is I just got impatient, and I knew I was launching a new interplanetary section for the next mission anyway, so I was like, why keep this one? So yeah, we just kind of had some nuclear fallout on Kerbin. Oh well. And here we are. We're at the second stage of the mission. We are on another contract. This is bringing the secondary crew rotation to Duna to have them spend their 1 month stay there. Of course, this mission is different. I did mention that a little bit earlier. We still have an interplanetary stage that we developed for this, and we are linking up with that right now. It's already been launched. We just skipped over that because it's basically the same thing basically the same thing we watched the last time we did this. So, we don't want to keep watching that all the time. We'll link these up. We'll get this show on the road and get these guys to Duna. You guys are wondering how I do my transfers to Duna. I actually use Kerbal Alarm Clock to tell me when the most optimal time to actually go to Duna is. It's a feature that is in the Kerbal Alarm Clock. You can pretty much set it up for any planet in the Kerbal system, and it works pretty well. The only thing it doesn't do is tell you the kind of burn you have to do. You still have to figure that out on your own. It's just basically a little alarm clock setting to tell you that, hey, if you launch now, you will save much fuel if you do it at this minute. So that's what I usually wait for. I set these transfer windows up. I usually launch the crew at the last minute, usually when the clock has already run out, and we go from there. A few minutes here and there doesn't make a big difference on your transfer window, but it can in a way. So we've seen this before. If we look at the interplanetary vessel right now, it definitely looks a little bit different. It looks a little bit longer. That's because on the back of it, instead of having a lander, we have this large fuel tank system that is actually made to separate once the fuel tanks are empty. So it's just like a staging system. Of course, it's always better to get rid of any type of mass that you have on your vessel if you no longer need it. And that's the way I designed the refueling system. There is it's actually 3 separate fuel tanks, and they all have different amounts of oxidizer fuel and etc. in it. We could check it out kind of sort of right there. I'm doing a few transfers here, but let's just jump right back to Duna, I would take it. Oh, so we're meeting up with the lander at this time. See, sometimes I can't remember where I am in this video. So if you look, my vessel with the crew on it is ahead, and the lander is just behind us on the yellow line with the blue line. And I'm just time accelerating a little bit to get us caught up just a tad. I think what I'm doing now is I'm waiting one more orbit until I adjust this just a little bit more. We are definitely getting closer. You can see over there on the other side that the lines are getting closer as we pass by, and it looks like we got a pretty close intercept on the two purple lines over there on the other side. We'll do some more adjustments here. There we go. Oh, went by it a little bit. Yeah, so at this point I'm just going to burn towards it to catch up. If it looks like I don't have a whole lot of fuel left, that would be an incorrect assumption, because you got to remember there is a lot of mass on this vessel, and when we're returning home, we won't have so much of a worry about the actual. We won't be as heavy because all of the extra fuel will be gone. All that'll be left is actually the interplanetary stage and our actual pod. There's still a lot of fuel on here. It looks deceiving because of how the docking ports are on there. Kerbal Engineer doesn't give. Kerbal Space Program sometimes gives awkward readings on your fuel amounts. with your staging output, because it's based off what's in the current stage, and there's actually a lot more fuel in the upper stages of that, or in stages that are not accessible to that particular stage. So all we're doing right now is just setting up a docking with the lander. Of course, we know that this lander has no fuel in it, but it does have a full tank ready for it on the interplanetary vessel. It's waiting for it. It's got one full tank. I made sure that I saved one of those small tanks, those actually those 2.5 meter tanks, for we could refuel it and get it back on the ground. There we go, we're linked up. I'm going to show a little bit of that. We can see the, well, actually, no, we're just going to jump again. Oh boy, I keep jumping around everywhere, don't I? So let's take a look at another thing that I launched on this and we're setting up right now. This is the actual, since remember last episode we lost the actual refueling vessel that could drill and do refueling for us. So I sent this little vessel that is meant to land on the ground and near our colony, and it will be an extra fuel tank for our lander to fill it up with our rover. You remember our rover down there, it's still down there, for we can have a full tank of fuel when we actually do take off with the lander again. Of course, we're going to use a little bit of fuel actually landing and getting into position to land. So we want to have as much fuel to get back into space as possible, and that is what this is made for. You can tell it's just a little tiny, just a regular tank with some solar panels on it and some landing legs and a parachute. Actually, it's got drogue chutes and regular parachutes on it. So we're just going to get this in position. Hopefully we land it somewhat correctly. Not too afraid to use some of the fuel in this because there is plenty of fuel for this situation. Of course, all the solar panels get blown off because in Kerbal Space Program 1.0 there are solar panels that you cannot actually close anymore. You have to get the bigger solar panels to actually be able to open and close them again. So in this case, those solar panels were opened for good and they got burned off pretty much when we messed this up. So all I'm trying to do right now is trying to get this vessel as close to my landing site as possible. And we're doing a pretty good job. It does love to wiggle around a little bit, like it's showing right now. Wiggle, I guess you can call it. And do I pretty much give up here in a second? I do see the rover down there, so we're pretty good there. No, that's the lander. It's hard to tell. It's moving too quick. But we'll just land this at this point, and hopefully we'll do all right. And oh, and I flipped it. Of course I flipped it. How in the world could I flip this thing? Yeah, there's no way you're gonna right side up a vessel on Duna. It just has too much of, you know, the atmosphere and the gravity and all that stuff. It's just not gonna happen. So we'll work with that. We'll get the rover to hook up with that, no problem. It's got the technology. So now I'm setting up the lander to land. I'm just waiting for the opportunity to get a good intercept on that. So there we go. We'll set that, make sure all our Kerbals are in the actual lander. There we go. And of course, last time that I used this lander, I actually blew those fairings off the top of it because they were so annoying to get Kerbals in and out of there when you wanted to get them out of there. So I just got rid of the fairings. I mean, they were fairings; they were able to be blown off. If you're wondering what I'm talking about, there used to be fairings that used to cover up the one-man pod on the top of the two-man can or the T-can, and yeah, it was difficult when you had to actually EVA Kerbal out of there, and or in that case he actually got stuck, so so we had to kind of get rid of the fairings to get him unstuck at that time. So these guys have a nice lighter vessel to land with. I really do wish they had a three-man can instead of just a two-man and a one-man. I mean, it would go with the three-man pod pretty much, but they don't have a two-man pod, so yeah, who knows? You know, it's almost like they were made for Apollo-type missions anyway. I'm actually impressed with my landing on this at this stage because I do finally do it somewhat correctly this time, and I do get somewhat close to the actual colony vessel this time. go. It might not look like I'm close, but with my adjustments I'm gonna make, we are quite almost on top of it. Almost. Do a few more adjustments, make the Kerbals a little sick in there. I'm sure everybody's happy. I'm sure they're loving this fall to Duna surface. There they go. We'll get you over there. And look, there's the colony vessel right there. Look at that. Pinpoint accuracy, I tell you. Hopefully we don't flip this. There, look at that. Nice. So there's the colony vessel right there, and there's our lander. Now, I used a little bit of fuel in there. Of course, we planned for this. That's why we landed that little fuel stage. You can see it up there a little bit. So we can do some moving around here, and we are going to take our rover down there and actually fuel it up and bring it back and fuel the lander. So let's see how well we can do this. Do some cutting here for we don't have to do all the driving and all that stuff. There we go. Just get a little closer here. And well, I guess we can concentrate on this part because we didn't really concentrate on this the last time we played. We just kind of went, came back. So this is a little tricky because it is on its side, so it's not set up exactly to the right height that the these are actually set at. So we do have to do a little fandangling here. You can tell it's a little bit too high, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to raise these landing legs, see how that works. It does definitely bring it up a little bit. And how can I fix this? We are a little bit crooked, so maybe if I just straighten it out a little bit. Oh, we will get this. Well, I'll smash this into the ground if I have to. Here we go. Let's go. Get in there. This is where a Kerbal attachment system is far superior to the docking port method of vanilla, because I would just hook up 2 pipe ends here and I would be done with this. But we don't have Kerbal attachment system installed, so that's not going to happen. I wonder if I use the we just keep messing with this a little bit. We shouldn't have too many issues. I mean, it's right there. It wants to dock. I can't use the engines because I don't have any fuel in the actual rover anymore. You know, we actually transferred all the fuel the last time I did this on the old lander. So I do see if I can actually do this. And of course, as you can tell, it's not going to happen because there's no fuel on it. Oh boy. Well, we'll work this out. So there we go. I finally get it hooked up. I just used the legs and all kinds of different things, and eventually it just hooked up. And I actually got my Kerbal over there to. That's why we see a Kerbal over there. He actually helped do the transfer. He moved the docking port a little bit to actually lower it, I believe. And now we're all hooked up. And our other Kerbal is still way over there. We'll have to move him a little bit later. Yeah, look at that. Now we got the fuel that we needed. Everything's good. Yeah, so the second team is there. They're on planet. We're gonna do some science here and plant our flag. Of course, because if you plant a flag with a Kerbal, why didn't I plant his flag? I don't know. Anyway, if you plant a flag, it counts as experience points. So always remember that if you want your Kerbals to have experience points, pop them out and make them plant a flag on whatever body they get on. It will give them more experience points for you can get them to the higher levels where they can do more and more stuff, like the engineer can fix the wheels and stuff like that. So just keep doing it over and over and over with every Kerbal you bring with you, and their experience will gain, and when you bring them home, they'll be all set. So as always, guys, this is Malkuth 1974. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you later. Malkuth out of here.